Welcome, Divine Feminines. This is the beginning of a powerful journey. A journey where self-love is not just an act, but a force that brings justice to your life and your world. In this session, we step into a space of healing, reflection, and deep transformation. It's time to reclaim your power, restore your balance, and remember the divine essence within. Self-love is your birthright. Justice is the gift it brings. This is just the beginning. Welcome to Self-Love Brings Justice. Let's dive in. Welcome to Sacred Empowerment of the Divine Feminine. You know who it is. It's your girl, YaYa the Spiritual Doula. What's good, Divine Feminines? Thank you for tapping into this video. If this is your first time hearing the sound of my voice, I would like for you to do me a favor if you don't mind. Could you just go ahead and hit that subscribe button and go ahead and join the tribe and everything? I mean, you could do it now. You could do it after you listen to the message. But I would greatly appreciate you. Also, hit that like button for your girl. Thank you. I hope everybody is doing well. Welcome back to all of my subscribers. Divine Feminists who've been rocking with me. What's good, family? I hope everybody is feeling good, in good health, bundled up, because it's cold out this mug, okay? And, you don't want to get that little pneumonia, you know what I mean? That good pneumonia sit on your chest. You don't want that. So, I hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to stop clowning because you know how I can do. Doing well and everything. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you're back. You'll know when I'm back with another video and everything. And we're going to get into this part 3. Okay? I feel like it was something else I wanted to say before I jump into the video. No, I think that was it. We're going to get into part 3 of self-love. We've been doing a little series here. Self-love brings justice. Okay, we've been talking about fearlessly loving ourselves. If you have not watched the first 2 parts of this series, please take a moment. You might want to just click this off. You can always come back. It ain't going nowhere. You click this off and you can go and watch part 1 and part 2. Okay, and now we are on part 3. And you might want to kind of follow along in synchronicity, in order. You know what I mean? So now we're on part 3. Now, I said, okay, now we have talked about our pre-empress energy, right? We have talked about loving ourselves fearlessly, loving ourselves in the face of all opposition, loving ourselves in the face of super needy people and needy situations, loving ourselves enough to know when we don't have anything right now to give, and honoring that and giving to ourselves first, and then serving our families, our loved ones, the collective, our jobs, our co-workers, whoever and whatever, serving that out of the overflow, serving them out of the overflow, right? We don't serve from the not enough, okay? When we realize we don't have enough, we honor that, and we go and we replenish ourselves, all right? And we've also talked about, what else have we talked about, Divine Feminines? We have talked about the prosperity and the prospering of the soul, all right? Overcoming systematic slavery through self-love, through self-respect, through self-confidence and self-awareness, all of the things that the false matrix and the systematic system of society does not want us to have nor possess, right? We've talked even kind of, went into some dimensional stuff about the 3rd dimension and the 4th dimension and what resides in each one and how we overcome certain types of spiritual attacks by healing our consciousness, tapping into our subconscious self, which is the elder version of the two consciouses, and retrieving the wisdom that we have learned over our many lifetimes that we can use now to aid us, so we don't have to continue to come back trying to complete the prerequisite course to be able to move on to higher dimensions of existence. Okay, so now in video number 3, I don't want none of my sisters to get it twisted. Okay, when you go through the first 2 phases of this situation, you've healed your consciousness from lifetime trauma, things you've experienced in this lifetime, and you've got the hyperactive consciousness to take a seat for a little while so that you can listen and hear and open up your channel and your portal to the higher spiritual beings that you have on your side that want to aid you, the mother, the goddesses, your ancestors, your spirit team, so on and so forth, right? So your soul and spirit as well. And so I don't want anyone to think that it's going to be like smooth sailing after that. In one way it will be, and in another way it won't be. Okay, because the 3D is going to do what the 3D does, which is provide the obstacle necessary at every level of your evolution that is needed at various levels. Okay, so now in this video, in this message, we're going to talk about what can be expected after you have at least gotten to the point to where you have balanced out the conscious and the subconscious. All right, and you have learned how to you're learning how to reestablish certain standards for yourself, raise your standards for yourself, raise your boundaries, establish your boundaries as it relates to a lot of relationships and situations that you may have found yourself in before you started healing. And I was having a conversation with someone, and I said, when you start healing yourself, you're going to realize that most of even the relationships that are kind of pleasant and not too bad, and anybody coming for your neck or nothing, they're not too bad. But a lot of the relationships, a lot of the decisions that you have made pre-healing, you're going to probably find that a lot of it was made through trauma bonding. I'm sure most of you have heard that term. It's a term when I discovered the concept of trauma bonding. it was a concept that when I say delivered me and set me free, it delivered me and set me free. Okay, trauma bonds are what most of us have managed to create for ourselves when we weren't the healed versions of ourselves. Before we started to process through healing, you will find that a lot of your relationships are going to equate to trauma bonds. All right, you are bonded to people, whether those relationships are pleasant or not. And this is the thing, you have to be very, 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 very discerning. It is so easy to see the relationships that are overtly karmic. Right? It's really easy to see the people that are overtly antagonistic and adversarial. Okay? The more trickier relationships are the ones that seemingly seem okay, but there's always been a little something subtly lurking in that friendship, that relationship, that partnership, right? It's just a little something. It ain't nothing, it ain't nothing too bad. Everybody had their little idiosyncrasies and, so on and so forth, their little personality traits and stuff. So it ain't nothing too major, but a lot of times we will, how do I say, we will embrace relationships even that are not necessarily overtly karmic, but they are not actually serving you. There's an imbalance even in those relationships, okay? And so these relationships are typically handled a little differently, but these relationships begin to show up after the healing and post-healing. Post-healing, after you have reestablished for yourself, for you alone, after you have raised your standards, maybe some things you know was willing to deal with, or willing to just overlook, or willing to just, oh, that's just the way they are, that's just the way he is, he a cool person, she a cool person, but that's just the way they are, you know what I'm saying? Once you raise your standards to say, okay, no, that actually triggers this, or that reminds me of something that I've now healed. See, a lot of things we accept before we heal because we're not healed, because we haven't done the work yet, right? And so now that you have your conscious and your subconscious, and you have the wisdom of your past lives, and your spirit team is able to funnel down information to you, and the line is clear, you start seeing how some things you were accepting that, again, were not overtly karmic or problematic, but you were still accepting it because the unhealed version of yourself felt like, that's not too bad, I can deal with that, it's okay. It was like and this is the foundation of trauma bonds. This is why they call them trauma bonds, because it is a bond created from a heart and a mind that has experienced some kind of trauma, so that heart and mind no longer can perceive what's being presented to it in a way that is actually beneficial for that person's heart or mind. So the heart and mind of an unhealed person typically makes okay things that people present to it that it otherwise wouldn't make if it was a healed heart and mind. So now we're talking post-healing. And I don't want anybody to be, you know what I'm saying, like left out here not understanding what takes place, you know what I'm saying, after you heal. Because I think I had no clue. I just knew to go on the healing journey. And so I basically, I think I've used this analogy before, this example, like it was like a dark tunnel, and I saw just a little flicker of light on the other side, and I heard the spirit say, I need you to get to that light. And I was like, you want me to go in that tunnel? You want me to go down that rabbit hole right there? It's dark in there. Like, it's outer darkness. It's dark, right? But you can see just a little light, and it seems so far away, and you don't know what you're going to experience. You just trust the spirit. You trust the spirit, and you go into the rabbit hole. You go into the tunnel. And as I started getting closer and closer to the light, I started realizing, okay, this is another phase, because though I have brought healing to my consciousness, and I am retrieving information from multiple dimensions, I'm retrieving information from spirit teams, you know, that are working with me and aiding me, I'm still in the physical body as the self. Right? And so once again, the 3D has a set of experiences that are particular to the 3D. And so even when you heal, you can't automatically just avoid all of the negative things that you experienced before healing. So healing is not about ending all of the experiences that cause a little bit of anguish, or cause a little bit of, you know what I'm saying, like little frustration. Healing is not saying that you're not going to have any of that show itself up to you at all again. That is not the case, okay? So it just shows up a little differently. And not only does it show up a little differently, but now your response, most importantly, is now different. Okay. And you are able to respond with an elevated sense of self, an elevated sense of self-respect, self-consciousness, self-awareness, self-love. Okay. Courageously, because people and situations are still going to present themselves to you to try to get you to kind of slide back into the pre-healing version of yourself. And I'm going to explain to you in the next two videos, this one and the next one, why that is. Okay. Now, the pre-healed version of you, when you begin your healing journey, we talk often about having to let some people go, let some situations go, just to be able to start healing. Okay. And typically these people and situations and decisions and things that we have ourselves in are, like I described, the overtly karmic-y, the overtly antagonistic, the overtly negative people and situations and decisions that we have made as an unhealed person, as an unhealed divine feminine. I mean, it's loud and clear, like, no, you got to go, because I'm getting ready to go into a healing journey, and I don't even really need to get started. I should have been cut you off. Let me just go ahead and say good day, goodbye, dismissed, you know, I don't know, see you around, hopefully not, right? Because you're impeding upon me even being able to get to healing. So those are the overtly antagonistic, problematic situations and people that you have to just let go of just to get started, right? And so then you go on your journey and you start healing, and you go into a little bit of hermit mode, a little introversion. You start shutting things down. You start, guarding your gates, your eye gate, your ear gate. You know what I'm saying? You start guarding your gates a little more, you know what I mean? And you start, doing your shadow work and building a relationship with the Most High, and building a relationship with your spirit team, learning the ins and outs of that said team. You start discovering, self-discovery, okay? And through that self-discovery, you bring yourself to you bring yourself to a very strong foundation of being a healed version of yourself. You understand your standards now. You understand how you need to move. You know what I'm saying? You've done the necessary work to clear your path and do whatever spiritual work you need to do. You know what I mean? And hopefully, unlike me, I hope that you don't have to deal with witches and warlocks and stuff at that phase. I had to deal with witches and warlocks at that phase. If you do, don't feel bad about it. It is a testimony to the power that is inside of you. So, because when the false matrix sends spell work at the very moment that you decide that you're ready to actually evolve, awaken, and heal, that says a lot about the fact that they want to stop you. The false matrix wants to stop you. Okay. And it doesn't matter who it comes through. Hopefully you won't have to deal with that when you're beginning your healing journey. But if you do, like I did, you've done that, you've gone through that process, and it aids you. I mean, this is the powerful thing about recognizing that you're divinity. The powerful thing about recognizing that you're divinity is that you recognize through being divinity and through the mastery of that divinity, your objective is to become the best alchemist that you can become. So even if you do or are dealing with any form of spell work, you have to fix your mind on manipulating the energy, no matter what the energy is, and again using said energy to bring you that much further, that much closer to the light that is on the other side of that tunnel, that's way down there. And you trusted the spirit and everything, and you went into that rabbit hole of awakening. Okay. And so you run across witches and warlocks and Christian witches and kitchen witches and whatever other kind of, some people are not necessarily doing necessarily spell work as it relates to, like, candle work and mirror magic and stuff like that, but they're just very verbally manipulative. They know you so well. They know how to push the buttons that trigger you into a depression or trigger you into a certain anger that now is going to take you 3 days to even stop thinking about how they tried you. Some people are so close to you that they know exactly how to trigger and delay you. Okay, and that's still spell work. All right, it's called mental magic. Okay, so hopefully you don't deal with that, but if you do, alchemize it and keep pushing towards the light. All right, now when you reach a certain point, divine feminine, where you have your standards and you have your boundaries, and you've reached a certain calm in the storm. You've reached a certain peace, inner gnosis as well. Okay, and let me just put a pin right there, gnosis. I just want to drop this really quick, because over here, what I mean by over here, I mean on the spiritually alert side, the spiritual mastery side of spirituality. We don't really deal in faith and belief unless that faith and belief is built upon what is known to you. See, knowledge, gnosis. And this is why you can't look at any aspect of your life and try to avoid the lesson, because the lesson gives you the experience gives you the knowledge, and the knowledge gives you wisdom. The experience equates to wisdom through knowledge. So when you start really spiritually awakening, you really want to deal in the frequency of gnosis and knowledge. Okay, and now that you have that as a healed version of yourself, you have the knowledge of self, you have the knowledge of, how to move around your reality as a divine feminine. This is the phase where you typically are going to run into another shedding of people, of things, of situations. Because remember, I said that you have the overtly antagonistic, the overtly karmic, the overtly problematic and negative situations and people that your unhealed version of yourself was making okay to hang on to your coattail. So you've already gotten them off your coattail, but there are still situations and people that may linger in your environment and your energy, right, and in your space and in your life, because you haven't yet healed enough to see that what I was allowing from this set of people and situations, though it be more subtle than the first set, is still just as problematic. They say it's the small foxes that spoil the vine. It's not the big wolf that you can see that come in and screw up everything. It's the little slick, sly, subtle motherfuckers that want to show up at 3 o'clock in the middle of the damn night and be traipsing through your tomato vines and you know what I'm saying? Just tearing up everything. Okay. So you have these small foxes, these slick, sly and slick people and situations who are a little bit more subtle at their negativity towards you. Situations that don't overtly seem bad, relationships that don't overtly seem bad. In this phase, as after post healing and of the subconscious and the conscious mind, you're going to be a little bit more alert at the small foxes, right? So what I have found happens in this phase is that these are the people that really didn't understand what you were going through during the shadow work. Maybe because, see, when you start healing, it really is a very personal time. You don't walk around telling everybody, I'm doing shadow work, I'm doing shadow work, I'm doing shadow work. You know what I mean? Nobody knows that you're doing shadow work. Nobody knows that you're healing. Nobody knows the books you're studying and the videos you're listening to, and da-da-da. For the most part, you do it quietly. You know what I mean? Because it's such a inner world work that it brings a feeling of vulnerability, because you're having to uncover things that happened in this lifetime, that still is kind of sensitive and not all the way healed. And so we don't walk around just telling everybody, I'm dealing with what my mama did to me when I was, you know what I mean? Like, in the beginning, you know what I'm saying? In the beginning. And so there's going to be a set of situations, a set of relationships, a set of people, a set of decisions that's going to go and last through your healing with you. They're going to still be there. You can call them, and when you do come out of hermit mode and want to go out to eat, whatever, you call your good girlfriend, whatever, she cool, she have her little ways, whatever, but it's cool. I got my little ways too, it's still cool, you know what I'm saying? And we might be on different paths, or we might be here. You call your homeboy, you gonna hang out, whatever the case may be, and do what you normally used to do when you want to have a little fun and everything, and all is well. And they don't really know that you're healing unless you tell them. They don't know that you're doing shadow work unless you tell them. And even if you do, they won't really fully process it unless they're doing shadow work. They won't really they will understand, intellectually on some level, but they won't really understand the in-depths of what it requires, and the balled up in the middle of the floor crying over something that you thought you had forgotten or had got over, or digging up things when you was 3 years old that your mind just put a blockage there and you didn't even remember it, and then seeing all of the life decisions that you have made that it caused you problems, and tracing it back to that very thing that happened to you at 3 years old that you had created a block, and then going through the shame and the guilt of creating this situation because you didn't know you was supposed to, you're 3 years old, you're 4 years old, you're 7 years old, you're 16 years old, you don't know nothing about healing. So then you get 18 and you don't know you're making decisions from that 3-year-old self. You get 22 and you don't know you're making decisions from that 3-year-old self. And so shadow work is a bit, it ain't easy. Let me just say it like that. Because you have to go through all of these mental processes of feeling like you let yourself down, and then getting and healing that, because you realize there's no way I could have let myself down because it happened to me when I was 3. How was I supposed to know? How was I supposed to, And this is, so people will know if you share that I'm doing my healing, going through Rule. They'll be like, oh, okay, that's good, that's wonderful, kudos to you, and everything. And so these people last. They will go through the shadow, not through it with you, but they'll be there while you're going through it, because your healed self doesn't yet see that this is a small fox, and it is spoiling the vine as well. And so after you come into your post-healed self, in this message, I just really want you to kind of be aware of some things that you might find on the other side of being a healed divine feminine. So as a healed divine feminine, you would find it amazing to realize that those that knew you were healing but yet couldn't conceptualize what that healing was going to look like on you and in you. These individuals oftentimes have to kind of be shed in a different way, because Now that you are the healed version of yourself, now that you have acquired the love of self first, now that you are only able to give out of the overflow. So now your good girlfriend, she got something going on and she want to talk and sit up talk about her man, and he did the same thing that he been doing for 5 years. He been cheating on you, girl. He been not helping you to pay the bills. We have been talking about this for like 5 years, and the unhealed version of myself would have sat up with you and just, girl, yeah, ooh, he ain't that. But now the healed version of myself, I realize that I don't have any energy right now to give to that. I realize that right now, because you happen to catch me at a moment as a healed version of myself, that I'm actually deplenished. Because aside from you, I also have a husband, and I also have co-workers. I also have a supervisor who's pulling from me. I also have children that's pulling from me. I also have now a spirit team that is talking to me in the middle of the night, and I can't get to sleep, and I got to get up. And then I also have people over here who want to do spell work and want to act like they don't want to let a motherfucker live. So I cannot talk to you about Raheem today. Okay? I can't, sis. I'll hit you up when I'm free. And see, now a friend, and this is just an example, now a friend who was around during your healing and knew you were healing because you share everything with her, now is showing up that she has a problem with the new you. Now she has a problem with the new you, right? And see, this is the second phase of situations that you may find yourself having to excuse from your life. Because now the new you is totally different to slightly different, but probably totally different from the version of you that the people who knew you before, that were still there while you were healing. This version of you, they have never met her. They have never met this version of you that says, no, not today. They have never met the version of you that is perfectly comfortable with not being okay right now to open myself up to whatever you have going on. And it's not because I don't see, and this is the thing, because they don't know this version of you, and because they also more than likely have not really gone as deep as you are going in your awakening and in your evolution, then they're going to walk off from that conversation and they're going to be offended personally. And for you, it is no love loss. It's not, you're not in the first phase of people that I just say, you know what, I don't want nothing else to do with you, because you are just a problematic, possibly even soulless individual, or you're very karmic-y, and you were you and your frequency was something that was lingering from another lifetime, and now that I've healed, I've dealt with that karma, and so you no longer serve me, right? So those people have already been sat to the side. But these individuals are not people who are necessarily karmic-y, not in an overtly way. And it may not show up to you that they are karmic-y. They may not show up to you as problematic. They may not show up to you in a negative vibration until you have fully stepped over the threshold of your personal transition, your personal spiritual growth. When you step over a certain threshold, this is where you start to see that this is a small fox. This is a small fox. Right? And then you'll be able to see how the dynamic between you and this individual, or you and this situation, or you and this decision, you'll be able to look back at the unhealed version, and you'll remember what you would have done as an unhealed divine feminine. You will remember what you would have said. You will remember how you would make space for this foolishness before. You will remember their response to you when something good would happen for you. It wouldn't be like but you was okay with it then. You was okay with having a friend who doesn't really necessarily celebrate your wins, but she cool. We go out to eat, we get drinks and stuff, but she don't really, she don't really add no value. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's cool. We all gotta have friends. We all got little things, right? But now that you are the healed version of you, and you've come through a certain phase of healing, and you've established a different way of looking and perceiving yourself, and what you need comes first, and you embrace that concept, because to give out of something that I don't have is not beneficial for me, and really not beneficial for you, right? But these individuals will not be familiar with this version of you, this version that has wisdom, this version that can see the tricks and the plots and the ploys way before you've even actually done it. I knew that that was coming, right? This version of you that is telepathic. See, this is, we talk about these gifts, but we don't really understand sometimes. Like, these gifts can be, how do I say? These gifts can be troubling for other individuals around us who don't have the gifts, maybe. Don't realize you have the gifts, maybe. Maybe their eye is not open, so they can't see the higher vibrational version, nor do they understand or conceptualize what that means. Right? And so you have all of these gifts now that have come online, and it can be troubling to those around you who were there when you were asleep, when you were slumbering in your spirit. They were there, and so they were able to do and get away with little sly remarks, and get away with not being really a good friend, and celebrating your victory or your promotion or whatever it was that happened good for you. And you still went out and had drinks and stuff with him, even though that she don't really and you noticed it, but you just let it slide because the unhealed version of you was unhealed, and so it made all of that kind of acceptable. But now the healed version of you is not really trying to deal with any of that energy at all, because if you're not rocking with me, you're not rocking with me. And the issue is that I'm now rocking with me. So if you're not rocking with me, I'm not going to embrace that. If you're not comfortable in yourself to celebrate me as I celebrate you, then I guess we not cool. And so now it's like you're going to have decisions and people that, again, you're going to have to make a decision, because they're going to have a hard time with the new version of you. It could be one person, it could be two people. Everybody's circle of influence and peer group is various sizes. You know what I'm saying? So this could be family. This could be a job. This may be a little bit of an off example, but I remember when I started working when I was like 16 in the South. I believe it was throughout Florida and Georgia possibly, but there used to be a restaurant called Shoney's. I don't know how many of y'all know anything about Shoney's, but it was like a small version of Golden Corral. is a buffet type thing, and it was smaller, more family, size. It's very intimate and everything. But it was a little buffet. They used to have some of the best breakfast in the city. I ain't gonna hold you. I don't know why they shut Shoney's down. That breakfast was everything I needed it to be. But I started working there when I was 16, right? In high school and everything. 16 or 17. I think I was like 17. And I was fine. I worked and kept working. I worked whatever, because I'm just going to school and got a little boyfriend or whatever, but I'm going to school. That's all I'm doing. So I worked whatever that they had available on the schedule. And so I worked a lot of Sundays, right? I worked every Sunday. And then, like I told y'all in another video, I started dating this guy, and then he invited me to church. And so then I got serious about the church, and I got serious about, the Lord, and I got serious about Christianity and my Christian walk and stuff like that. As a young adult woman, not being dragged to church by my mom and them, but now making my own decision to be a part of Christianity and dedicate myself and devote myself to it. And so at 17 years old, I went to the manager very politely and nicely, because my mama raised me right. I said, excuse me, Mr. Glenn. His name was Mr. Glenn. And I said, I've started going to church, and I really enjoy it and everything like that, and I'm dedicating myself to the Lord and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to need Sundays off from now on. Now I don't just work the weekends. I work through the week. I do some day shifts, night shifts. I work, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm there like, shoot, I think I had like 1 or 2 days off maybe. So, let's say 5 days a week, And I'm working in the morning, which means like the high point in that restaurant, like I said, was the breakfast. So I'm there. I'm serving breakfast. Y'all getting bus loads of people coming in here. Like, I'm sweating and stuff, sliding around on these grease ass floors, about to kill myself. But I'm grinding. You know what I mean? I'm getting it in. Shoot, you need more grits? I got you. And you know what I'm saying? You need eggs? I got you. You know what I'm saying? I'm working. I'm a good employee, man. Come on now. You can give me Sundays off, Mr. Glenn. At least I thought he could. I thought it wasn't gonna be no problem. But he looked me right in my face and said, I'm not going to be able to do that. I didn't came to him like with the church. I'm in the church, I'm dedicating myself to ministry and stuff, and I really would just like to have Sundays off, and I could work one of the other days that I don't work. And he said, no, I ain't. He didn't even say, let me think about it. He was just like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I stood right there in that man's face. And I said to him, well, then I quit. I was not thinking at all when I went in there that I was going to be like having to make a decision about whether I was going to quit or whether I was going to go. If he say no, I didn't think he was going to say no. You got a whole laundry list of people working here. You could slide somebody else in on a Sunday or hire somebody. Come on now. I'm just one employee asking for something off. Everybody else in here come to work. People ain't calling out on you and stuff. I don't call out on you. You know what I mean? I'm like, you could give me Sundays, man. I didn't think the man was going to say no. I really didn't. So I didn't have a plan B. I didn't. I didn't. Until he looked me right in my face with them gray eyes, or blue, or whatever they was, and told me no. And I looked at him and I said, okay, well, I quit. And I didn't quit that. I let him know I'm not going to come back after the day. Right? I'm going to work today, but I ain't going to do you like that. I ain't like I stormed out and threw the towel down and said, nigga, this, that, that. No, it was quiet conversation. And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to have to quit then. Because I'm making a change. That's something very important. Now, I could have seen if I came in here and said, I just want Sunday off because I'm tired. I'm just tired. I'm 17 years old. Right? So I'm using this example to show you that When you are making changes, particularly spiritual changes, and all changes are spiritual because everything's spiritual, there are going to be people who were not problematic before that are going to show up to you problematic because they have not been introduced to this version of you. They are not familiar with this version of you. There are situations that were sufficient before, pre-healing. It was sufficient pre-healing. It was sufficient during the healing. I mean, you were still able to, handle your business and still process through your healing journey. But after you come into a post-healing version of yourself, I want you to be aware that there's going to be another season of now realigning and readjusting the things that are remaining in your life, the people that are remaining in your life and have remained through your healing journey. You're going to have a moment, or you're going to have situations that you're going to have to say, oh, now that I see that with a healed crown chakra, with a healed third eye, with a healed throat chakra, now that I see that with a healed heart, now that I've healed my creative portal, now that I've healed my root chakra, there are things that would have been okay and was okay even through your healing process that the healed version of you can now see. Now you can see. Now you can see. That's a small fox trying to spoil my vine. Oh, I'm gonna have to trap that one and get that one on up out of here. Now, the little small subtle jabs that would have came from your best girlfriend that you can discern, and you probably always have discerned, has been rooted in envy and jealousy. Her inability to truly, genuinely celebrate you when something is good for you. That little small, subtle undercurrent is now no longer sufficient, no longer beneficial for the new version of you. Because the new version of you, I'll just tell you, if you don't already know, and some of you may already know, but if you are just beginning your journey, or you are in the middle of it, the new version, the new healed version of you is not going to put up with anything that doesn't benefit and continue to support the higher vibration that you have become. Does not mean that you'll be running around rolling your eyes at everybody. No, this is a calm, this is a healed version. This is some of the ways you can know whether you've reached that point yet. Because if you're still easily triggered and very reactionary, then keep working. Dig up some more of that soil that is on top of that trauma and get down to the root. If you're still easily triggered and very reactionary when someone triggers you, then there's more healing that needs to be done. Because the healed version of you has a very aggressive side. Because see, the dark side doesn't really go away. What you learn is how to balance the dark with the light. And in the dark side of you, you're going to have the more destructive nature of divine femininity. You're going to have the more aggressive nature of divine femininity. You're going to have the side of you that will straight up And I'm not, promoting violence, but things can get violent if that's what you want to label it on that side of divine femininity. But because you are balanced, then you know how to prescribe to a situation what is needed and no more than that. And you have the wisdom to know how to, in other words, you go from being a person with a double-edged sword just cutting up everybody and stabbing folks all over the place. You go from being that to being a surgeon with a small scalpel. You know how to cut away what and leave everything that is healthy and whole intact. You know how to cut away the diseased part, the sick part, the unwell part, the dense dark part that no longer serves, that is ready to die and pass away. You know how to cut that away, and you use a scalpel when you are healed divine feminine, and you leave that which is healthy and whole intact. So it's not saying you don't have a side of you that will cut, motherfucker. It's just saying that if I have to, then I'm going to be more like a surgeon in a normal situation. In a normal situation. Because there are still times where the sword is the best tool. And wherever you get cut is where you get cut. Because this is not a normal situation. For instance, for example, I am not using no scalpel if somebody put my children in harm. And so when you learn the various aspects of the divine feminine energy, then you learn all of her manifestations. And there's times where she does walk around with a hatchet, quite literally, and chops heads off, and then walk around with the nigga head in her hand, holding it on the other side. Metaphorically speaking, of course, unless it's not. So this is about balance. And the new version of you, the healed version of you, the version of you that has learned how to love yourself first, the version of you that has learned how to respect yourself, the version of you that has learned how to be confident in your divinity and your femininity, the version of you that is self-aware is going to trouble the remaining situations. And you may find remaining people, and it's going to trouble them because they are not familiar with you having the ability to not be triggered. Let's talk about that. The people who used to trigger you and do things specifically and intentionally are going to be triggered by you not being triggered. Because triggering you was their tool to get you in the vibration to match their energy. Triggering you was their tool to be able to open up your energy so they can feed off of you. Triggering you was how they vampirically channeled from you. Triggering you is how they got the rise out of you that they needed to make themselves feel better about themselves. So when you show up as the untriggerable version of yourself, how are they going to feel good about themselves? Where are they going to get that from now? What? Oh, you ain't mad? Oh, you want to argue? Well, what got into you? Right? And so you have to sit down with yourself and say, does that relationship, does that friendship, does that family ship, does that situation, does this individual being my supervisor need to remain, or is it really time for me to trust my spirit, since it's been telling me for 2 years to get another job, and because the job kind of pays kind of well and I'm so used to just being complacent, being kind of in this position, you know what I'm saying, I ain't really tried and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get one, and it's so hard out here in the market and let me just stay where I'm at. You know, that fear that you was, dealing with, when it comes to your income and money and finances and bills, and the children need this and the children that, and so you was moving in fear, and you was staying on a job that you didn't really like the people, and the people were not treating you well. The healed version of yourself will put in that resume. The healed version of yourself will get up and light a candle and do some manifestation work. I don't care nothing about this economy. I'm going to get another job. And it's going to be one that I like. It's going to be one where I like the people. It's going to be one where they're going to let me grow and I'm going to evolve. It's going to be a pleasant job. I'm going to be happy about going to this one. And it's going to pay me well. When the healed version of yourself looks at that same situation, it will inform you that this is no longer good enough for me. This is not about whether my bills going to be paid or not. They going to be paid. We'll be all right. I got a little savings. We'll be all right. And I ain't moving until I put my resume in. But I'm going to at least do the first step first, because I've been actually like kind of receiving this backlash, this negativity for way too long. And the unhealed, doubtful, fearful version of me was making it okay for me to go to my job and be talked to like I'm a child. Go to my job and be treated like I'm nothing. Go to my job and be told that I'm not doing it right when I'm doing the best that I can. The unhealed version of myself made that okay. The unhealed version of myself was sitting in a spirit of greed and lust for money, that I'm so lustful for money that I am willing to actually continue to show up to a job that sends me home anxious, sends me home angry. I can't even make love to my husband good because they done pissed me off at this damn job. And you've been going through this for 2 years. The healed version of yourself will say enough is enough. Let me type this resume up. Hold on. Let me make sure I got these dates right. Let me add my new degree that I just got, because I got this job after I got my degree. It's time for me to get another. Make sure I put that on there. And this is what I mean about another phase of shedding that comes after you step into or step across a certain threshold of the healing that you're on, where the foundation of your divinity is laid. And so you have to sit and look at your life now and now look through the lens of a healed version of you and make adjustments. Some people you will now be able to see are small foxes, and they've been spoiling the vine. They've been spoiling the vine. Hence why they know how to trigger you, because every time they would do it or say it, the unhealed version of you would get triggered. And then your whole day off. You don't want to see nobody. Your whole energy off. Everything's off. And they know exactly what to say and exactly what to do. So they can feed then and make themselves feel better for putting you in a negative space. The unhealed version of you will say, that's family. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? That's family. That just, you know what I mean? That's just. The healed version of you will say, who is my mother? Who is my brother? The healed version of you will say, until they heal, this boundary needs to be set. Until they healed, this standard is the standard that I have to set, to where I do not allow them anymore to trigger me, and I'm very mindful of their tactics. I see it coming before it came, because this is what you always do. It's just before I would just get triggered and go somewhere and pout or get into an argument and a fuss, and then my whole energy is off, and now I'm upset. And now something else is traumatic that I got to be healed over has happened, because you keep opening up a fresh wound, an old wound. I can't never heal because you keep stabbing me and I keep bleeding. So before I bleed out, the healed version of me will say, this is how close you can come, but this is my boundary. Right? So as we are healing, and when we step over a certain threshold of that healing, where we have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind working in synchronicity, working in harmony, revealing things to us, we're going to see things that we didn't see before in individuals. We're going to see things before that now that we didn't see in individuals that wouldn't have bothered us before. It doesn't really bother me now. It's just no longer good enough. It's just no longer something that I am going to allow my divine self to entertain. I actually have bigger fish to fry. I don't have any room on my spiritual plate to keep piling on top of it things that I don't even want to eat. It's my plate. I know the stuff that I like. I know I like me a little chicken, little macaroni and cheese, homemade macaroni and cheese, little candy yam, little collard green stuff, you know what I'm saying? Or I might like me a little hot piece of fish and everything with a little cheese grits, little hush puppies, a little salad, you know, with a little ranch dressing on that thing. You know, I know what I like to eat. I'm not going to let you come and put lima beans on my plate because I don't eat them. Don't come over here with them lima beans. Do not come over here with them chalky lima beans. I don't want no parts of that. And this is how we're going to have. We have to see now. Are there things still remaining on the plate that is no longer appetizing and palatable to you? I think we kind of learned, and sticking with the example of the plate, I think we learned how to just allow people to put stuff on our plate from when we was children. Because when we was children, we kind of had to eat what they put on the plate, even if you didn't like it. And they would sit there you just eat it because it's what we got. Or they'll tell you, eat it because it's good for you. Or you ain't got to like it, eat it. And it's like every time you cook this, I say I don't like it. And I understand that I'm 7, but just because I'm 7 doesn't mean I don't know what I don't like. And I understand, I get it. But if something is actually nasty, like so you ain't got no other source for iron, you ain't got no Flintstone vitamins or something you could give me. Why you keep slapping up this spinach up on here? I don't like the spinach. I'm about to throw up and everything. I get it. I'm 7, but can you go get me some vitamins or something? You got no chewables? Because I don't like the spinach. And see, we don't have the ability to articulate that at 7. But what that's doing is conditioning us on the flip side. It's conditioning us to just let people slap stuff on our plates that we don't eat. And we suffer through it. Gagging. Because mama said I gotta eat this, I can't get up and I can't go back and watch TV until I eat these Brussels sprouts. Or we'll try to be slick and scatter all the peas all over the plate to make it look like we ate most of it, and all we did was just scatter it all over the plate. We'll find any kind of way, because we've lost the personal, we don't have the personal power at that age to say, don't put that on my plate. But you are not 7 anymore, Divine Feminine. You are not 7. You have every right to choose what someone puts on the plate of your life. You have every right to choose to not want to consume. You have every right to not allow someone else to make the decision as to what's going to be on your plate. You can get up, go to the garbage can, and throw that away. Who finna spank you? If that conversation no longer serves you and you just tell sis, throw that away. I don't want to hear about Tyrone. I don't want to hear about Raheem. We talked about that for the last 5 years. And so I was with you because you was trying to see if it was going to work and everything. Now, I'm just going to tell you the truth. You need to get rid of him. But because first off, you need to fix yourself. And then as you doing that, if he's to stay, he'll stay. If he's for you, he'll adjust with you. And if he's not, then he'll be weeded out in the process. But I don't want to keep rehashing how you just so distraught and he keep doing things to you, because at this point, sweetheart, you're doing it to yourself. Now imagine saying that to a girlfriend who you have been for 5 years enabling. You think she gonna be okay with that shit? She's not gonna be used to that. Doesn't mean she's not gonna say, you're right, you're right. She may be a really good girlfriend and be like, yes, you're right. That's something you learn while you've been healing, ain't it? Girl, yeah, you right. But I'm telling you that there are going to be people who you're going to have to reintroduce yourself to. Some will see your change and be inspired by it, and others will fall into the second group of people, the second group of decisions, the second group of situations that now have to also be shedded. And you won't see that until you're looking through a healed heart. A healed heart. So I want you to be encouraged as you're processing through, because we're making room for the people, for the situations. We are making room for experiences going forward that benefit, that we can build on, that we can celebrate. You have to make space. And as you are removing karmic debt from the fourth dimension, when you start vibrating higher, that is going to start it has to, and you have to ensure that it does by not clinging on to things in the third dimension that have been long past, and you have already done the work to clear that in the fourth dimension. So the third dimension is going to have to start reflecting the higher vibration that you have become. Some of this is going to take for you to take action, for you to make a different decision, for you to make a different choice. And some of it, you'll just be surprised how there's a natural separation that's going to take place between you and certain individuals. It ain't no love lost. They haven't really done anything to you. Nothing's wrong. Nobody's offended. It's just a natural separation. Because the same process you went through to raise your vibration and your understanding of your soul's purpose and destiny and assignment is the same process that others must go through, but many won't. And because they won't, and you have, it's going to cause for that bridge. There's going to be a bridge where there's like, we got to cross over kind of energetically a long way. Because, it's very difficult to continue to have certain energies around me and I end up weighed down. Because when I go away from you, I have to have my channel still clear. And if every time I come around you, I got to go home and sage and grab a crystal or do something, that is a clear indication that there's an imbalance between the frequencies between me and that person. And then there will be people who can remain. There will be situations that can remain, right? But you're going to have to reintroduce yourself to a lot of people in this phase. Okay, you're going to have to reintroduce yourself to a lot of people and let the chips fall where they may. Because we're doing this process fearlessly and without judgment of anyone. We're not even entertaining it. That's the thing. Like, we're not entertaining anybody else's judgment of what you're going through or have gone through or the changes you have made. Listen, I made changes in the last 3 years to my life that most people, I'm pretty sure, although none of them will actually probably say it to my face. Not because I'm a mean bitch or nothing, but nobody wants to walk around and tell people they crazy. Like, well, I really think you're crazy. Not jokingly, but for real. Like, I'm pretty sure the changes that I have made and the stripping away, I completely pulled away from the false matrix completely. Completely. Overhauled it. Completely. Because as long as I was trying to negotiate, okay, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that, then I'll do that, then when I do that, and then once I save a little money, then I'll be able to walk off this job and stuff like that, and da-da-da-da. The way I was set up, that may work for anybody. You may be able to systematically move away from certain things, but systematic wasn't working for me. That wasn't working for me. Because really what I was doing was avoiding the decision that I needed to make, because I didn't have the confidence that I needed to have to make the decision to begin with, nor that I have the discipline in certain areas that I kept saying, well, once I get that done, and once I get this saved up, and once I get that, I didn't have the discipline to save nothing. I had a bad relationship with money. So if money was connected to my freedom, then I was never going to get free if I was waiting to get a certain amount of money, because I had no discipline with money. I had a bad relationship to money. And I didn't like the hold over me physically and my well-being and my peace of mind. I didn't like that hold. I didn't care for that. So of course I worked and did the bills and did the things and did all of the things, but I did it with a lot of anguish and a lot of attitude and a lot of goddamn, like, I gotta get up. I just got home, felt like we came home about 5 o'clock yesterday, laid down, cooked for the children, you know what I'm saying? Then I had to run to the store, and it's time to get up again and go, and I don't even like these people. And then I feel like I'm on the job for 8 hours a day. I really want to be home studying in meditation and getting to know and growing spiritually. But by the time I get home, be too tired to give any time to that. And it just was a problem. It was just a pattern and a cycle. And I felt like a rat on a damn wheel. And I just got tired of it. I just got tired of the rut. So I made a series of very brash decisions that I'm sure a lot of people who know me, probably looked like a whole lot of childishness to them. Because what adult don't work? I don't have no problems with working, like I said in the last video, but I was not born to be a slave, and that's what I feel like. So until I stop feeling like that, because I have changed my life to where now my work is what I'm passionate in, my work is what I love to do, I'ma be all right. I didn't know where I was gonna land. I didn't know how I was gonna land. I had a plan for that. That went awry. That went crazy. I said, okay, ancestors, we here. You said go down the tunnel. You said go down the rabbit hole. You told me. This is what you said. I told you what I wanted. You said this is how I can get it. And then so we here. I mean, I'm free now, but now I have to figure out the new me. I have to learn me. I have to figure out what needs to be healed. And now I have the time to do it. I have the ability to stay put and do it. I made certain decisions because those certain decisions had to be made in that way to benefit me. But what I'm saying to you, Divine Feminine, is that there are going to be decisions that you're going to have to make that supports the evolution that you're on. And do not shy away from those decisions because you think it's going to be hard, or you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Right? Stand in your strengths. Stand in your strengths. You know? So the change in you and the change on you outside of your inner self is going to bring a bit of confusion to those who didn't recognize who you really were before. But they didn't recognize you because on some levels you didn't recognize you. You allow people and their opinions of you to determine your life in ways you shouldn't have. In ways you shouldn't have. But now, that timeline that you were on, you are no longer on. It's taking me a little while to be able to kind of discern when I've shifted timelines. Because the 3D consciousness of you is like we said, young, and it's going to remain young. And so the elder version of you, the soul and the spirit, has to inform you that you've shifted a timeline. And like I told y'all, when I first started my journey, my healing process, aside from me dealing with childhood trauma and adulthood trauma and all of my things that happened to me, when I was innocent and couldn't make sense of, I was also dealing with people who wanted to place witch and warlock simultaneously while trying to heal. And so when I defeated that for good, when I overcame that for good, because I had various victories, several victories, you know what I'm saying? I had several victories, but there's a point where they just can't do nothing else with you. They just, when you raise your vibrations high enough, as we spoke in the last video, you reach a point vibrationally where all of that fourth dimensional type spell work does not work. And Spirit had to tell me and remind me several times, you're on a different timeline now. That's over. It's over now. It's over now. So I had to readjust my day. I had to readjust my spiritual work. I had to readjust what I gave predominantly my attention to. I had to readjust how I felt about myself. I had to readjust how I adjusted my energies. I had to make a change because the season I was in, dealing with that and dealing with certain trauma and dealing with needing certain healing, I had accomplished it. But when you've been in a season for a long period of time, the self in its youth starts to kind of like settle in the fact that this is the way it is. And so when you shift in timelines, you have to inform the version of you that is the youngest, hey, we don't need that right now. We need you over here with this right here, because we have shifted timelines. We are no longer in that season. That season is over. But yes, you may need to formally reintroduce yourself to many people. You may have to do that. And it's not something like you got to go run around to my, hey, how you doing? Let me show you who I am now. It's going to happen when it happens. I'm informing you that this is going to happen. Because you're in your north node. You're in your north node, which is a whole different you. Whole different you. A whole different you. Night and day you. There will be little things about your personality that you love that will remain, that that will be there, because that's just the way that goes. Not everything. You ain't gonna be like, what I'm saying. But you're in your north node energy, which means whatever it is about you that is you is vibrating at a higher place. You're receiving information not from the south node, not from the dense dark energies, but from the higher vibrations that serve and aid you. You'd have to know that when you cross over this threshold, a definite change has taken place. And because there's no going back for you, then don't allow people to come back to you expecting to receive the old version of you. And depending on how that experience plays out, you can politely let them know, no, not gonna work. No, don't want it. That I don't. You can. And if it's a little more rambunctious than that, then you can still calmly be like, that's not gonna work. But do not be surprised when you start seeing the small foxes that want to spoil the vine. Do not be surprised, because your good sis is telling you that there's another phase of shedding that you go through after post healing, right? Post healing. This has been Sacred Empowerments of the Divine Feminine. Thank you, my sisters, for taking time to tap in with me in this message. That was part 3, y'all. We got one more part, and you can look forward to that coming next Tuesday. This will be up Thursday. So please hit the like button. Take a moment to subscribe if you have not, please. Also take a moment to hit the notification bell and share the channel with someone around you who you feel will benefit from it. And allow them the opportunity to join the tribe. Share the channel, share this video if you choose to, okay? I would greatly appreciate it. We're building, we're working, got a lot of wonderful things that I have vision for us to grow and support and celebrate each other with. So I really appreciate everybody who's been tapping in. Your likes, your comments have all been greatly appreciated. I love interacting with you. Feel free to comment as much as you want. I'm here, you know what I mean, and we're here for each other. So always I love you, my sisters. Check out the other channel. The push messages, the motivational messages are there for your daily motivational, short, small, powerful messages to keep you motivated as you work towards your goals, your visions, your passions, your dreams. Because every now and then we need that. And how I know that is because that's what the mother told me that we needed. We need that, right? Specifically for divine femininity. Okay, because we deal with a different set of circumstances. We're not that different from anybody else in the world, but we deal with a different set of circumstances. And so she told me to motivate us. A lot of you have beautiful talents, beautiful gifts, beautiful dreams, things that you can do to aid you in your financial freedom, aid you in building your financial legacy for your homes, for your children, and things like that. And sometimes we just need to be reminded that we can do it, because we often always get the message from somewhere that, you shouldn't do that, and I don't know if I'm going to work, and I don't know if I'm good enough, and I don't know, because there's a whole lot of people doing it. We get that a lot. We hear that a lot, so those messages are there. Tap in to those messages as well. Tap into the prayers of an awakened goddess, and got a lot more work that's coming forward for us to benefit from. Okay, I love you, my sisters. Enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend, your families, your day, your night, your afternoon. Love you guys. Peace. See you on the next one.